Okay. The future of smartphones. Sorry, I gave it away.
Okay, so I'm going to start off this speech first by asking how many people in the room have smartphones? Me! Okay, now how many people use their smartphones for other things than just texting and calling? Okay, good. So that just proves that smartphones have evolved from the very beginning, from when it's been created. And so this has shown some evolution already, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what I think the evolution of the future is going to be. So this is some features that's already evolved and come about when it comes to mobile phones. So we have different things like smart apps. An example would be like a Fitbit, how it connects to different devices as well as what's on the phone. Voice recognition, artificial intelligence like Siri, Alexa, or Google that'll do stuff for you, and virtual reality. And so let's take a step back in time and talk about the origination of mobile phones and smartphones and different things like that. So this very first phone here is going to be the 1983 Dynatac 8000X by Motorola. Some first things is, this was the very first mobile phone, and what it would do is you would have about 30 minutes of talk time for about 6 hours of charge. So pretty great when it comes to standards then, but absolutely horrible now. And so when most people think of the first phone, they think of this. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the first ever smartphone which has been created. And that's going to be the 1992 IDSM Simon Person Communicator. And so what they call the Person Communicator is actually what we call a smartphone today. And some great things about this is that instead of a 30-minute battery life like the first original phone had, it had about an hour battery life. And some of the great things about this phone is that it grouped together email, a contacts list, fax, touchscreen, and predictive text. It was one of a kind back then. And one of the great things about it is you didn't have to talk mobily on it. You also were able to plug it into your landline, save you a little bit of money, and communicate that way as well. Okay, so now we know a little bit about the history of phones, and I want to talk to you about what I think is going to happen in the future and what's kind of in the process already. So first thing I want to talk about is the outside of it, so it's the technology that phones use, and then I'll talk about the inside of it, which is kind of like the processors and stuff like that. And then I'll talk a little bit about the display and how that's adapted to users. So first thing is going to be the outside technology, and it's changing. One of the big things that's starting is going to be 5G network. This is going to allow you to use your phones almost instantaneously. And so a little comparison I found is that if you want to download a 2-hour movie on your phone on 4G, it would take about 6 to 8 minutes. If you were able to do this on a 5G network, it'll take you about 30 seconds. And so one of the great things about 5G is that it's on a radio wave, just kind of like 4G. But according to Wall Street Journal, there's going to be a little bit of delay in these radio waves because it's kind of a legal dispute between the different companies and what's being used about it, and who gets the rights to do what, and things along those lines. So it might be a little bit slower to get your 5G on your phone mobily than it will be on Wi-Fi and different things like that. And so using this outside technology, it'll allow companies to adapt their technology to work better and faster and allow you as a user to become more instantaneous to your content. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about the outside, I want to talk about the inside processes that'll work for it. And so some of this is going to be better cloud computing. So the cloud computing is rumored to be a lot better and faster. So no matter how great a phone is, it's still only a single processor, and it's limited to what one processor can do. So having an entire server for a room in your beck and call is going to be a lot better than just having a processor. So you'll have the better cloud computing, which will lead to quicker phones. And then also, as the years go by, this trend has already been happening, and it's just going to continue, and it's going to be faster processors to deal with the uptake of more data. So with the uptake of 5G and using that, it's going to be better processors to equal for it. Okay, so now that I've talked about the outside and inside of the phone, I'm going to talk a little bit about what might happen for displays. So some of the larger displays that might happen is going to be larger displays, larger screens, different things like better camera, and different abilities that'll come for the phone as well, like folding. Okay, and so this is a little bit more about it. We have folding phones, and it's going to be something that you can use both as a large screen and a smaller screen. different adaptable screens for what you want to use. So if you want a smaller screen for mobile devices, you can do that, or larger screens if you need something kind of like a tablet work for your mobile phone, that'll be like that as well. And then things like bendable phone, higher megapixels, so you won't have to worry about carrying around a big bulky camera. You can just carry around your phone, have just as good as quality. Okay, so here's just a little slide of pictures and different things like that. This is going to be the Huawei folding phone, and it's actually been produced in April, but they're kind of delaying the release because they had a little bit of problems to it. Down here is going to be a picture of some folded phones and a phone maybe with some better cameras, so just kind of different options that might happen in the future. Okay. And so in conclusion, smartphones are getting better and getting smarter. It's a technology that's changing, and I think it's going to be changing from the better inside out. And as Tim Cook, who's the CEO of Apple Incorporated, said, anything can change because smartphones is a revolution and it's still in its early stages.